All right, and good morning, TFWR. We are here, Jordan Cohn and Ricky Cheese, for the re-debut of the Morning Grind. Good morning. Good morning, Ricky.
Good morning, Jordan. What's going on today?
Not much, just up bright and early, got the sunshine, got our fabulous coffee from Cauliflower Coffee, the toughest coffee in the game.
Never taps out on the flavor, buddy. Cauliflower Ear Company. Unbelievable. Cauliflower Ear Coffee Company. Cauliflower
Yeah.
Ear Coffee Company. You can go to their website. It's amazing. They've got all different kinds of flavors. It comes in ground. You can get beans. You can get K cups, whatever you want. But they're the sponsor of today's episode, Cauliflower Ear Company. Thank you guys for sponsoring.
Yeah,
Very
how
good
awesome
coffee.
is
Very good
yeah,
coffee.
how awesome is it that we have our own like kind of coffee wrestlers, grapplers, the whole shebang. That's kind of cool. Wrestling is growing at such a rate now
Yeah.
that it's cool to wrestle now, you know?
It is. It is. Back in the day, you used to get kids not wanting to wrestle because of the singlets. Now they love the singlets. They design them themselves. They have their names on the back. It's cool to see, but we've come a long way. But
You know what? Let's start it off with a hot take. I'll go ahead and say I think the singlet should be retired.
to what, two pieces?
Yeah, I think so. I think fight shorts, compression top. I think
I can live
you
with
know
either one of
what
them.
who's number one does it, grappling does it. I think that is one of the small things that we can do that would implement big change as far as recruitment. Because what's generally the number one reason that people don't like, oh, I don't want to wrestle because I don't want to wear the
Right.
singlet. It's just like,
Right.
well, then get rid of the singlet. Like, I love the singlet, obviously,
Yep.
grew up with it. You grew up in the time, but for me, I think wrestling needs to be more okay with innovation,
Sure.
and change. You know what I
Well,
mean?
we can start that change at next year's Kings of Florida.
Kings and
Maybe we
queens
put
of
them in two
Florida.
pieces.
Yeah, that's it. Well, actually true. I think that's what we'll do next year. I think that we're gonna. That's the plan is to get some two pieces that they can wear as gear for each team. That would be the next big step for Kings and Queens of Florida for
And of
sure.
course, we get it from Prime Time Designs with our boy
Yeah,
Jacob Pryor, who's been so good to us the last couple of years.
yeah, those singles that he did was nice. I was
It's
just
great.
on, yeah, I just had a show with our boy Dominic Baxter up of Pace, and he sent me a picture with him in the King singlet, and I was like, that did come out nice.
Yeah,
I
it
like the
was.
line on the back.
It was. I want to talk about one thing. This past weekend, we had the Freestyle and Greco FAWA State Championships along with Spartan Nationals, and all I'm seeing on the page on the Florida Wrestling Room Facebook page is just how horrible it was and how bad it was and people complaining. And I got to say, I want to put this out there. You keep seeing, oh, it was a money grab, it was a money grab. The FAWA board makes no money. That money grab is for the wrestlers. It goes right back to the wrestlers for the national teams. So let's give these guys a break. It wasn't so much because I talked to people, it wasn't so much the way the tournament ran. All I hear is great things about the way the tournament was run. It was the venue. It was the people running the venue that were rude and they weren't letting people bring stuff in or whatever the case may be. But let's give the FAWA board a little bit of a break, guys. I mean, they work day and night for no money. It's for our kids, man. I just wanted to put that out there because I don't think it's fair to be smashing these guys when they're given their own time to our wrestling community. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think you make an important distinction, that it's two separate parties that are coming together to put this event on. I wasn't there. I didn't attend.
Yeah, I
I
wasn't
haven't been
either.
to I haven't been to the Fall State since I wrestled in it 20 years ago. But there's positives and negatives, because I mean, you were in the dark age. I saw somebody post like, you guys don't remember the dark ages for these big tournaments, and
I do.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's true. Like, it used to be a way more, convoluted because you didn't have as much communication apps. But I do think it's an extremely important point to note, like, that there's two separate people. You have the guys that are there that are trying to promote wrestling, and then you have the group there that is, that's their their venue, and they got to
Right.
try to make money. They got to pay the bills. I don't know. I said it's all hearsay. I did hear some stuff about, and again, hearsay, rumors. If I'm not there, not much I can propagate on it. But Just saw some stuff though about like, one drink, one snack per kid.
Yeah.
Like some of the prices are pretty outrageous. And then I saw something about like they turned off the water fountains or something to,
Yeah, I don't know how true that is. I'm sure it is
yeah.
true because a lot of people were posting it.
I mean, I've seen it does come out like a money grab sometimes, some of these tournaments, realistically.
But
You
that's what I
know,
wanted to point out. The money is not going to the guys who are running FAWA. It goes right back to the kids in the form of stipends for these national teams. So, you know,
yeah, I get it. I mean,
yeah,
all
I
you can
get
do
it
is
too.
just keep on
I would
working it.
too. I'd be pissed if there was no water for my kid.
Yeah. I mean, especially too. I mean, you got to know the times. You see gas prices. You know what it costs
Yeah.
to get down there, and then pay for the parking, and then pay for the food, and then pay for the drinks, and then pay for the like. So it's a lot. It
thousand
adds
dollar
up.
weekend, easily
Hmm.
$1,000 weekend.
I'll say too, man, especially if you end up with one of your kids in one of the weight classes that only has like three kids.
Oh,
And, nothing against the three other kids, but like, who wants to pay $1,000 just to wrestle two matches?
do you think
I'd much
tournaments
rather go
were
to a
better?
camp.
Do you think tournaments were better when there was no social media, when people would just sign up and go because they didn't know who was going to be there? Whereas today, people look at the matrix. Oh, well, we're not going to go. There's only three kids. Do you think social media has hurt our tournaments or helped our tournaments?
Um, I'd
I think
probably
it's
say,
hurt.
you think so?
I think
I
so
think we
because
still
we're
ran
all
it. I
arm
think we
on
still
target.
ran into a lot. I think we still ran into a lot of the same problems. There'd be tournaments that I'd show up and it wouldn't be anybody. It usually happens more in the lower classes or the lower age
Yeah,
groups. I don't think as much as high school. I think it just happens, man. I think it's the luck of the draw sometimes. We're growing it. I looked through the brackets and there was only a couple. Like the 100 and 106 pound junior freestyle, men. So
yeah.
that's a little bit hard. Some of the females, but I don't know. For me, when I was at a tournament, I was just trying to wrestle. I never really looked at the brackets or the weight classes because I knew I was going to get double bracketed anyway. I knew my dad was going to, put me in two different weight classes. My dad was a ref, so I'm going to be there all day anyway, so
Right.
I was never really too stressed about it. Um, I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, though, I would rather send my kid to a camp than, a big tournament like that sometimes. That was my philosophy and my dad's philosophy a lot of times. Why? Like again, Perler talks about this a lot too. It's one of the things I like that Perler talks about a lot. Is like, you're gonna, we talk a lot about the money cost of it. The cost ratio analysis. Going this way, this way, this way. If you're really looking for your kid to get better, and you're gonna spend that type of money, send them to a camp where they're gonna be gone for a month, rather than all the money to go to a camp, wrestle four matches, and then you're done. You know. And I heard this the other day or a while ago. It said like tournaments don't fix problems; they just expose problems, and they let you know what you need to fix on. So like, I think it's good to plan some big tournaments because you need to see the best. So you don't get complacent. But then there's just a point where getting a good structured camp will suffice. Only problem is you don't get seen.
What do you think as far as camp versus private? Like for me, if my kids were still wrestling, instead of sending them to a camp or a clinic, I'm gonna hire a guy like Pat Lugo. I'd rather send my money to Pat and have him work one on one with my kid than a camp. I think he would get more out of that. What do you think about that?
I think it just depends on the kid. But I'll tell you what I see more kids doing, and it's a good thing we're bringing up old Pat Lugo because he should be on the show a little later on.
The Big Ten
You,
champ's gonna be here.
the Big Ten champ, baby. But you see a lot more of these high level wrestlers that are transitioning into coaching, and they're just making their own wrestling academies.
Yes.
So you see them just grinding out, and with the way that the educational system is changing. I think you're going to see a lot of these places that are academies. You're going to see them get. They're going to be basically like homeschools. They're going to be basically homeschool kids, and they have a curriculum, for their educational purposes, but they're basically there to train. Very much like little IMGs.
Yeah. I
So
think
you're
that's
gonna
what Jeff Estrada is trying to do from Sons of Thunder, Daughters of Zion,
you're
which is
seeing.
a
I think
great club.
you're gonna see a couple. Like I said, I think you're gonna see a lot of those proliferate over the next couple years. I think, and this is where, obviously for us, Kings of Florida, we got our three. I think this is where you'll see FHSAA consider adding a fourth um, division
I hope
for
not.
like those micro schools, because you'll like the schools that have their schools and they only have like 25 people, but all 25 of those kids are wrestlers.
New
So
York State used to do that. They would have the public school state tournament and a private school state tournament. So if you went to Holy Family, which is out in Long Island, that's where my buddy wrestled. He was a state champ. He won the Catholic school state title. They had it separated. So if you went to a Catholic school, you couldn't wrestle in the public school state tournament. It was completely separate. So that's what you think is going to happen. You're going to see like the little clubs competing.
I think so. I mean, the ones that turn themselves from just a year-round club into an actual school, school program, because I don't think it doesn't take much. I don't think it's really that much. I'm trying to think if there's a couple schools that have done it before. I can't remember who it is right now, but that's what I think. Either that or you just go to one division, which I would prefer that rather than breaking it up.
What's up with Lake Highland Prep? I think they're ranked number one in the country right now. Either one or
What's up
two.
with
They're
Lake?
definitely
What's
one
up
or
with
two, but I think they're number
What's up
one.
with Lake Island Prep is that they've been beating the brakes off of everybody around the nation.
Everybody,
It's pretty
everybody.
pretty self-explanatory when you're number one in the nation, right?
I think Buchanan in California is number one, and Lake Highland Prep is number two, or it's the other way around. But they're definitely one or two, which is just absolutely incredible. Now, granted, not every kid is from Florida. There, they do get, it's a prep school. It's a you can be in that program from anywhere in the country. So just like Blair, so they're no different. But I love it, man. Having Florida repped by a school like LHP, Palazzo's done just amazing things over there,
Yeah, and
and
he started from ground zero too with that.
it was all homegrown. He really
Hmm.
did. People don't realize that. He started with fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. So, and he built that program up to what it is today.
Bro, I'll tell you what. Have you been to IMG yet?
I have not seen it yet, but I've heard about it.
Oh, dude, we went there for they had the Father Divine.
Yeah.
That is a school, son. It's
What's your,
so
did you
big.
see their wrestling facility? Do they have a facility specifically for wrestling?
No, man, I saw there was too much else to see. We were in their
It's like a little
one of
college.
their gyms. Yeah, one of their gyms. Like we were trying to drive in, find the area, and we talked to this lady. She's like, "Oh, you're at the wrong campus. There's the East Campus." So I was like, "Jesus, bro, it is.
Wow. And
That's
they
nuts."
got a hell of a coach, Kevin Jack, All American from North Carolina State.
They're
Unbelievable.
gonna they're gonna do well.
And Dr. Enoch Francois is running the program as well.
I'll tell you what, that's who we need to get over here on the morning grind. Is Dr. Enoch
Yep.
Francois.
Yep. Enoch
It's a cool
Francois. I
name.
remember watching him when he was a wrestler at Palm Beach Gardens High School.
Is he a
He
Florida
wrestled
boy?
yeah, he wrestled at Palm Beach Gardens. He's a Palm Beach County guy.
I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Look at that. Florida putting out. Florida is getting better every year.
Get that that's over. We're there already.
We're
There's
there.
no longer getting better. We're there. And people around the country have noticed that. I mean, we're putting kids on the Fargo podium every single year, multiple kids in both styles. Our girls are top 10 in the country, probably top five right now, I would say,
I'd give him top. Yeah, I about to say I'd give him top five.
for sure. We got some toughies, man. We got some toughies.
I tell you what, man, we got to get this D1 program here in Florida. Oh, speaking of, man, did you
Yes,
see
I
about
know where
Tarleton
you're going with
State?
that. Yes, bro.
Tarleton? Oh, bro, we were so excited.
I know. He's
I
got to be
can't,
upset, man.
dude.
Grant,
I know. I feel like they did him dirty.
I don't know the full.
I don't know all
Right,
of it, but
right,
it seems like they did him dirty. Is
right.
my thing.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, this guy went out and collected over $1 million for the program.
Dude, and you see the room they built up? They're competing against
So why not have
D1.
it? I don't get it.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the holdup was. I would love to know,
Facility
you
was
know.
there, the kids were there, The
The
money
kids were
was there.
trained. The money was there. It's like, well, and again, hearsay. All I do, I read stuff, read whatever, and it seems like everything was in place. It seems like which that's got to be devastating. That does got to be like to put all that work in and then to have it.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, Tarleton State in Texas was a club team that they were, I guess, promised to be a Division One team if they raised a certain amount of money and the head coach got the program going. It was Grant Leaf, All American from University of Missouri. He did what he had to do. We had him on the show, and he raised that money, a lot of money. He got kids transferring D1 transfer in the portal to Tarleton State, and now all of a sudden, no, if you want to wrestle here, you're a club wrestler, which is great. Listen, a program's a program, but come on, man, Texas needed a D1 school, and they had
Well,
it.
I mean, just like you're saying, not hating against the NCWA, not hating against club wrestlers, solid club wrestlers, but it's just like we talk about for Florida, just to be able to have the opportunity for our kids to compete at home
Yep,
in a D1, at the D1 level. It's a game changer. I feel like. I mean, dude, look, Bo Nickel came out of Texas,
yep,
right? Like,
yep.
how you gonna have one of the best college wrestlers in the past 25 years and not have a D1 program? They could have kept him home. Maybe not be as good as he was at Penn State, but you got to imagine that he probably would have popped off one national championship, right? Like that's the game changer. Look at like Ben Askren. Ben Askren was the first champion for Mizzou. It's a
Yep.
game changer, right?
Yep.
Like how many kids from Florida in the past 25, 30 years that were D1 eligible that you think if they had the location here would have been there and would have continued on.
My
I could
kid
think
was
of
my kid.
numerous.
Bryce would have wrestled in college.
I could start naming all. Scotty Sentez probably would have. He would have considered staying home. Erica Alice maybe considered staying home. Kendrick Sanders
Rossi
would.
Bruno,
Rossi Bruno,
Franklin
Clark
Gomez,
Glass.
David
Dude,
Craig.
oh, David Craig. Oh. I'll tell you what. Speaking on that David Craig one. I read what is it called? A newspaper article like long time ago. Didn't like wrestling.
No, he loves soccer.
Yeah, he wanted to play soccer. When I
Soccer,
read that, I was like, "Are you kidding me? You're like one of the best wrestlers in the nation."
most
Yeah,
dominant wrestler of his class in the nation, number one recruit of all weight classes. Didn't even like wrestling.
yeah. So David Craig's actually where I learned how to do the super duck from. Or not
Oh,
learned
yeah,
it. I saw him hit it his
yeah,
junior year in the finals, and I was like, "Oh, that was the coolest thing!" Yeah.
yeah, that
And
was
then I
crazy.
kept, and then I tried to do it for the next like 3 or 4 years. Coach Laxton would get so mad at me. He'd be
Did
like,
you
"You piece of-"
master it?
I finally got good at it, yeah, but it was after I was out of school.
Why was Laxton pissed?
And he's like, "It's not gonna work." Which to his credit, it took me a while to figure it out, but he's old. He's old school. He's more simple. He's a more.
Did you hit it on old DeFilo success?
No, I didn't even take him down.
You
Actually,
didn't take down DeFilo?
he took me
How'd you
down,
do it?
and then reversals and near fall.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have got there eventually, but I wasn't as good on my feet as I am now. I got way better on my feet once I won state and felt that I think that confidence boost, and then when I got to college, that's when my neutral got way better. Now I'm just as confident on my feet as I am on the mat, but
Was
it's
DeFilo your state finals match?
yeah, yeah, old
He
DeFilo.
was. So
He's a
he
good
was
wrestler.
sixth, and second.
Yeah, he's a solid wrestler.
He
And then
was.
he went on to wrestle, I believe, 4 or 5 years at Campbellsville. I think he
Yeah,
finished
he
out.
wrestled somewhere.
Which and that's like another thing. I use that when I talk to a lot of the kids that I coach, and they're going on to that next level. I always try to use myself as an example for good or bad. I was like, hey guys, listen, I was a kid I wrestled in the finals. I went out there, I beat him, pretty handily, but he went out and put 4 years in college. I was done after the first year because I didn't go to class. I was dealing with a bunch of emotional and mental stuff that I wasn't getting addressed in the proper way.
Yeah.
And this guy went out there and competed at the college collegiate level for 4 or 5 years at Campbellsville, which is a solid NAIA program. Like, who do you think is probably in a better position to be a better wrestler now or have more knowledge? I was like, probably that guy. It's not a ending. the state championships, it's, a lot of times it's just a step off, you
Yep.
know? It's hard. The
Yeah.
dude, being a college wrestler, it's a lot. It's the whole, that's when you really, like, a lot of kids can, and this is where I was at. I was using wrestling as a way to, like, help me deal with my mental stuff. I can go on to shut it off and all that, but, if I wasn't willing to do all the work that I needed to do to be a college wrestler,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, you can't just be a wrestler here. So it's a whole process. So for any of the kids that are going off to college this next summer, that's the big thing. Keep your head down, keep on showing up, do the work, keep your grades up, and then you'll be surprised at, like, how good you are and how many opportunities come your way, you know?
Aren't you doing something with D1 colleges with Pat, like a tour or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. I was hoping we'll talk about it more whenever he pops on, but yeah, we're doing the 2016 Pat Lugo College Tour, brought to you by the Miami Hawks
What is
and
that?
sponsored by Drip Drop. So last year we went up to Missouri, me, Pat, and we had a couple kids,
I remember
and
that.
we thought they were gonna be at Perler for a week, and there was miscommunication, and we hung out with Perler, and we ran a little day clinic with him, and then we're like, all right, well, we're up here, we got to figure stuff out. Our flight isn't for another 6 days. And then we were able to get up with our boy Brian Smith.
Yeah, my
And then
team.
obviously Pat's got some contacts at Iowa. And we, just made a weekend of it. We were able to use the facility, talk to some of the wrestlers, get some workouts in around the town of Columbia, Missouri, and of Iowa City, Iowa. And dude, it was fun. It was a blast. We're like, man, this is a cool idea. We kind of stumbled upon it on a happy accident, and then we're like, okay, let's gear it up and do a real show of it, because we're producing it, making a produced show. So it's going to be like a road trip training camp almost.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll be starting flying in St. Paul, Minnesota, and going to the University of Minnesota. From there, we'll go to Iowa, and then from there, we'll go to Mizzou, fly out of St. Louis about a week later. And instead of vlogging the whole thing, I think I talked to a dad yesterday that's a potential candidate or his kid's a potential candidate for the team, and he's just like, I think this is great.
So it's
He's like,
limited seats, right?
10, maybe 12, just
D1
depends.
level guys, right? D1 level.
Well, we're taking kids from about eighth rising to ninth, all the way up to 11th rising into a senior. So, it's a training camp. We're trying to get some higher level guys that are looking at D1, but, maybe this is something where we get a kid as sophomore, freshman. He sees this ability, this possibility, sees himself in D1 workout rooms. Maybe that's the change. Like, I know I kind of joked about this. Like, when I saw Iowa's room, I was like, dang, dude, if I knew it was like this, I'd have kept my grades up.
Yeah.
You know, it was
That's a
nice.
very good point, man. I mean, it really opens the eyes of these kids, and a kid that may be like a C level kid and academically sees something like that, and he's like, "Listen, my C level is not going to get this done. I really want to be here." It just may change a kid academically. It's a great opportunity. I love the idea.
I think it's awesome. I do. I'm excited for it. And this will be, like I said, we'll hit three this year, and depending on the success of it next year, we might continue to expand it. Actually, um, Oklahoma University, one of their assistant coaches, and he reached out to me, and his message is sitting in my inbox right now. But he's like, "Hey, I saw that. We'd love to have you come down to OU." And I was like,
It's where old Clark Glass went.
"Oh yeah, this is where and Sammy Hazelwinkle,
Yep. And there's
Sammy." But
more.
like,
There's another kid that was from Southwest Miami that went there not too long ago. I forgot his name. He was a really good kid. If I heard
yeah,
his name, I would know it. But he was an
but it's
All-American there.
it's cool. I like it. It's showing me that the idea is solid. That people like it, and I think that it's just different, right? The kids are gonna get the training in, but it's you know, it's different. It's something that I feel these kids will remember.
For sure, for sure. And not only that, a lot of these kids may not even know each other, so they're going to make lifelong friends on a trip like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We're trying to get kids from all over.
Yep.
We're looking to get kids from Cal. We got some kids from Florida. Got some kids looking at from Michigan, Iowa, California, Mississippi possibly. So The roster isn't set yet, so if you are interested in it, please hit me or Pat up. Like I said, it's a fun.
Jasper Kroon, listen up. You need to be
I
on
yes,
that
yeah,
team.
I already hit his dad up. They said they're doing something else.
Oh,
They got something going on. He was another one that says like it's a pretty cool idea.
yeah.
No, yeah, Jasper should definitely be a D1 program. I'm not sure where he's planning on going, but he definitely going D1 somewhere.
He can go anywhere he wants with his grades.
The Latin speaking.
Kid's a brainiac, man, and he's a great wrestler as well, state champ.
I'll tell you that's another deal. A lot of these kids are brainiacs nowadays.
I
We
wasn't.
got one. Yeah, me neither. We got one girl over at Niceville, Camilla Robles.
Yeah,
Dude, she is a brainiac, dude. Like perfect 4.0. Like I think weighted, it's like a million point zero. But she's going, and kind of going back to what we were talking about it's the high school isn't an end; it's just a starting point. She didn't finish the way that she wanted to, right? I think she was having some knee problems toward the end of the season. It just kind of caught up with her, but she got her grade. Her grades are good enough. She's going to Oklahoma State,
wow,
you know.
good for
And
her.
I'll tell you something that Pat said. Was talking. I had a kid that was interested in going to Iowa, and I'm like, hey, how did a kid that maybe doesn't get the interest, get there? It's like get into the college, and then go show and up at the coach's door and knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'd like to wrestle." I was like, "That simple?" It's like, "It's that simple." And then stay. Don't be one like because going back to my own experience. At the college I was at, there was like four kids at the 133. By the time the practices even really started, we were down to two.
Yeah,
You know, we had kids that are like, "I can't handle it. I don't want to be away from mom." So it's about just keeping your grades up and getting there. But I'm
yeah.
excited for it.
Going back to the whole academy thing that they're popping up left and right. I forgot to mention earlier what Zach Sherman is doing with the Heat Wave. The program, the Heat Wave, was started by his dad, Gary Sherman, many years ago. My son Bryce was on it with Zach. They were like 5 and 6 years old. And what he would do is he would go around the state and get the best youth wrestlers and take them everywhere. They would go to McDonough duels, every Dixie National duels, whatever duels they can find. The one in Kingsport, Tennessee, the AAU elementary duels. They would go to every, and they would just whoop people, just whoop them. Didn't matter where they were from. Our kids were just. You got to figure we had our best youth at each weight class on that team. Well, Zach's brought it back now, and man, he's got some hammers, and he's doing it at the high school level now. Well, he's doing it at the youth level as well. It's going to be a youth heat wave, but he's got the high school kids as well, and the kids that he's working with one on one. I've just seen. I call it the Zach Sherman effect. These kids are a product of the Zach Sherman effect. A guy that's a two-time D1 All-American, what he can do with these kids, it's unbelievable, and I love seeing it because he's opening so many doors for these kids. That what was done for him, he's now doing for all these kids. So it's a way to give back, I guess. But yeah, Heat Wave is tough, man. Tough, tough, tough.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we need to bring back. I mean, yeah, Blasucci needs to bring back the Lightning.
Lightning. He said he was going to when we had him on the show.
I know, but that was a million years ago.
Well, Blasucci's a million years old.
And that's true. He's getting up there.
I'm
But
actually older than him, so I need to shut up.
yeah, no, the Lightning, those are fun teams. That one was I was very happy to get on those teams.
Give me
Those
your
were fun.
best Lightning story, the funniest story that you can think of from your Lightning days. Because with Blasucci, I know there's a ton of them.
My favorite one to tell that I'm allowed to tell is we were on our way back from
You're
the
allowed.
Maryland duels, and this was back when Blasucci would drive like 13 hours straight. And we were on our way back, and Scotty used to like to he would always poke, he'd like to mess with Coach Blasucci,
Yeah,
and Blasucci got a bit of a temper,
a
so he
bit.
like he annoyed him to the point where Blasucci pulled off to the side and then went into like the sliding door and then took one of my shoes off and then started like beating us with it. And then he took my shoe and he just threw it off the side of the road somewhere like on the way down from Virginia. And then my dad was like, "Where's your shoe?" When I got back, he's like, "Where's your shoe at?" I was like, "Blasucci threw it in like South Carolina." And he didn't believe me until like this year. And I was like, "Hey, Blasucci, you remember that?" And he's just like, "Oh yeah, that was good times."
There's some stories that I know that I can't tell, but one that I will tell, and I'll probably get in trouble for this, but Ozzy Lugo was on a lightning trip, Pat's little brother, and
I don't
I
think you can
guess
take. I don't think you can tell this one.
yeah, I'll keep it clean. I'll keep it clean. So he's on the trip and he's in the back of the van. And at the time, Blasucci's stepdaughter was about 17 or 18, maybe 19 years old. And she was absolutely gorgeous, just drop dead gorgeous. And so Ozzy was like, "Hey, coach, what's up with your daughter? What's up with your daughter?" And Blasucci was like, "Shut up, shut up, shut up." And he wouldn't. Ozzy just kept going and going and going. Again, he pulled off the side of the road and crawled in the back and just whatever happened, happened. But I guess Ozzy stopped talking about his daughter. But that's just one of the stories that I could tell. I had to cut a lot of it out, but
Yeah, Ozzy's a wild one, man. I like Ozzy.
he's a funny, funny
He
dude.
is hilarious.
And he's
He
so
is.
much different than Pat, right? Like two completely different personalities. Pat's like real mild mannered, quiet, kind of introverted.
Yeah.
And Ozzy,
Ozzy,
totally,
he is loud and out there.
yeah. Where is
No,
Pat Lugo? I gotta go soon.
no, he should be coming in here second.
All right. So
He
once
should be.
again, let me take this time to thank Cauliflower Ear Coffee Company for sponsoring the new episode 1 of the Morning Grind with Jordan and Ricky Cheese. I'm so glad that the episodes are back. We're gonna have some really great guests for you guys. We're gonna be going what Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or
Tuesday,
Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And then we'll be reposting in other places as well. But if you want to catch us, that's where we'll be.
Yeah, we'll have Pat Lugo on here in just a little bit. You want to play one of the clips of the day?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll play one of the clips while we're waiting on old Pat Lugo. This is one of my favorite ones. We actually posted this a couple one of the first episodes we did with the morning grind,
Yeah.
but I do love this one. Bring it up. I'm gonna disappear us real quick.
So tonight, just talk about some simple stuff. And I really want to start off tonight by taking you back to the very first set of questions that I asked when I walked out here. How many of you are ready to be more successful? How many of you are ready to make more money? And how many of you are ready to have more fun in life? And every single one of you said, "You bet." Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
That's how it works. You bet. Well, here's my take on that. No, you aren't. You are not ready to do any of those things. How
Wow.
many of you are 100% satisfied with every single area of your life? I mean 100% satisfied with every single area of your life. How many of you right now? One person. The rest of you, you're lying. You're 100% satisfied with your life exactly the way it is, otherwise it would be different.
Good point.
Your life's the way it is because that's the way you want it to be. And people go, Larry, that's how it really is. Let me show you. I don't often use flip charts, but I'm going to write a couple of things down. I came out of here and I said, how many of you are ready? Everybody is ready. There's an old saying. It goes, ready, willing,
Oh, Abel.
and able. How many people are ready to be more successful? Everybody says, oh, you bet. How many people are able to be more successful? Every single one of you is able to be more successful. Isn't that right? How many people are willing to be more successful? Let me tell you right now, not very many. Not very many. I do this for a living every single day of my life. I've spoken to 400 of the Fortune 500 companies over the last 19 years. I spend 250 days a year on the road talking to big old groups about what it takes to be successful. I see people stand in line and buy books, and I gotta love them. I appreciate it when they all buy mine. But I can tell you right now, it doesn't make any difference. You all stood in line today to buy people's stuff, and let me tell you right now, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't. You're going, oh, Larry, don't tell me that now. I spent a lot of money today. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, and here's why. While everybody can be more successful, very few people will be more successful. That's what it really comes down to, because they're not willing to do whatever it takes. You got to be willing to take action on whatever it takes. Isn't that right? And that's why most people aren't successful. Everybody could be successful. Very few people are successful simply because they won't do it. Not that they can't, they won't. Life is not made up of the haves and the have-nots. Life is made up of the will and the will-nots. You got to be willing to do whatever it takes. Very few people are willing to do whatever it takes. How many of you are willing to do whatever it takes? Doesn't matter. No, seriously, let me tell you right now, nothing you just said matters. Your words don't mean one darn thing. Isn't that right? Actions. You got to take action. That's when things get better for you, when you take action.
So true. And you can
Yeah,
apply
no.
that to wrestling in such an easy way, man. Like, what are you willing to do to get better, man? What are you
Well, I
willing
mean,
to do to get past that hump, to beat that kid that you've never beaten?
even more than that, it's just like how often you get, you know, is annoying sometimes. Season ends, kid doesn't finish where they want, and like, oh, coach, I'm gonna be at practice. I'm gonna be at the club practice. I'm gonna be there summer. I want to get better. I'm gonna be there. And then summer shows up, and I'm working with the same 4 or 5 kids.
Yep.
It's just like, and then, how often do we get to the season, the next season, and they're having the same results, and they're mad, and then, the kids that have been putting the work in, that aren't out there talking and not saying, I'm gonna be their coach, they just show up.
Right.
Like,
Just show up and shut up.
yeah, I saw another clip, I forgot who it was. I want to say it was either Burrows or somebody, maybe DC, but they were like, "Oh, you have favorites," and you're darn right, I got favorites. My
Yeah.
favorites are the ones that show up and work hard.
Right.
Like it's not hard. It's not hard to be one of my like. It's the same thing for me. Like it's not hard to be one of my favorite wrestlers. Show up, work hard, enjoy being there. It's not a complicated formula.
Right.
But
Pretty simple, actually.
yeah, it is, man, and it's true. Like I said, most people aren't willing to do it. They're not willing to get up in the morning. They're not willing to cut the weight. They're not willing to cut the weight the right way. They want to. They're willing, and they're willing. And he does another talk, Larry Wingate, where he's like, whenever you're ready to quit smoking when you get cancer,
Right.
then you're ready to do whatever it takes instead of doing whatever it takes 20 years ago.
Right.
Right? At the end of the season, whenever you don't qualify for state, then you're willing to do whatever it takes. But then it's too late, right? The time to do whatever it takes is at the beginning of the season or in the preseason or the day after you've fall short, right? But
Yep.
everybody wants to wait.
You got it.
I don't know if we're going to get old Pat Lugo on the first one.
Yeah, probably not, but I got to run. So
That's all
we'll
right.
get him on tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we got James Lawless on tomorrow.
Right.
University of South Florida head coach James Lawless going to be on the morning grind with Ricky Cheese and Jordan Cohn. Brought to you by Cauliflower Ear Coffee Company,
Yes,
the
sir.
strongest coffee in the game.
Never taps out on flavor.
Never taps out on flavor, doesn't get pinned. All right, guys, this has been the very first episode of The Morning Grind. Lugo could not make it. He was running a little bit late to the Lugo Wrestling Academy. We will have him back on at a later date, but we will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central. We'll go for about 30, 45 minutes, and we'll be back on Thursday. We'll see you then.
Don't forget, people, keep on grinding for greatness.
Gotta love the grind.